Retraining the Flamvell archetype. All Flamvell monsters are now pyrotype and all now have 200 defense. Flamvell Guard is now an effect monster with the following effects. This card is treated as a normal monster while in the hand or graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one fire monster in your graveyard, place it on top of your deck, then inflict 300 damage to your opponent. If this card is special summoned, you can add one Flamvell spell or trap from your graveyards to your hand. You can only use one Flamvell Guard effect per turn and only once that turn. Flamvell Baby now has the following effects. You can send this card from your hands to the graveyard, then target one fire monster you control. It gains 400 attack until the end phase. If that target is a Flamvell monster, it can attack twice this turn. Flamvell Pound now has the following effects. If this card is sent from the fields to the graveyard, you can add one monster with 200 defense from your deck to your hand, except Flamvell Pound. If you control a Flamvell monster, you can add a Flamvell card instead. You can only use this effect of Flamvell Pound once per turn. Flamvell Dragunov now has the following effects. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent. You can banish this card from your graveyard, targets one fire monster you control. It gains 500 attack until the end phase. Also, if it destroys a monster by battle this turn, inflicts 500 damage to your opponent. You can only use each effect of Flamvell Dragunov once per turn. Flamvell Archer now has the following effects. You contribute one face-up fire monster. All face-up Flamvell monsters you control gain 800 attack until the end phase, then inflicts 400 damage to your opponent. You can only use this effect of Flamvell Archer once per turn. Flamvell Fire Dog now has the following effects. If an opponent's monster is destroyed by a fire monster you control, you can special summon one fire monster with 200 or less defense from your deck, except Flamvell Fire Dog. If a Flamvell monster is special summoned by this effect, you can inflict 300 damage to your opponent. You can only use this effect of Flamvell Fire Dog once per turn. Flamvell Magician now has the following effects. If this card is used as synchro material for a fire monster, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls. Until the end phase, if it is destroyed by battle by a fire monster you control, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Flamvell Grunica now has the following effects. If this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflicts damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original level or rank times 200. If this card battles a monster special summoned from the extra deck, it gains 300 attack during damage calculation only. Then you can banish one card from your opponent's graveyard. You can only use each effect of Flamvell Grunica once per turn. Flamvell Fiend now has the following effects. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflicts piercing battle damage. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, inflicts 300 damage to your opponent for each pyro monster in your graveyard. You can only use this effect of Flamvell Fiend once per turn. Flamvell Commando now has the following effects. You can normal summon this card without tributing if you control a Flamvell monster. Once per turn, you can banish one monster with 200 defense from your graveyard. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to half the damage inflicted until the end phase. Neo Flamvell Origin now has the following effects. If your opponent has 4 or more cards in their graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Neo Flamvell Origin once per turn this way. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. You can only use this effect of Neo Flamvell Origin once per turn. Neo Flamvell Hedgehog now has the following effects. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one fire monster with 200 or less defense in your graveyard, except Neo Flamvell Hedgehog. Add it to your hand. If a fire monster you control is destroyed, targets one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. You can only use each effect of Neo Flamvell Hedgehog once per turn. Neo Flamvell Shaman now has the following effects. If you have 3 or more Flamvell monsters in your graveyard, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. Then, if it was a spell, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add one Flamvell monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Neo Flamvell Shaman once per turn. Neo Flamvell Garuda now has the following effects. If you control another Flamvell monster, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish one fire monster with 200 defense from your graveyard. Add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Neo Flamvell Garuda once per turn. Neo Flamvell Saber now has the following effects. Gains 300 attack for each fire monster with 200 defense in your graveyard. Once per turn, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their graveyard, you can target one card in their graveyard, banish it, and if you do, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. Flamvell Uruquizes now has the following effects. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. If this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can banish one fire monster with 200 defense from your graveyard. Inflicts 400 damage to your opponent. Then this card gains 400 attack. You can only use this effect of Flamvell Uruquizes once per turn. Ancient Flamvell Deity now has the following effects. If this card is synchro summoned, you can banish up to 3 cards from your opponent's graveyard, then inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card banished by this effect. Once per turn, quick effect, you can banish one fire monster with 200 defense from your graveyard, then target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, this card gains 300 attack until the end phase. Rekindling now has the effect of always being treated as a Flamvell card. Flamvell Counter now has the following effects. When your opponent activates a spell or trap card, banish one fire monster with 200 defense from your graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Then, if you control a Flamvell Synchro monster, you can banish one card from your opponent's graveyard.